Hello everyone. Today we are cooking Spanakopita, which is Greek spinach pie. We will need 60 ml of olive oil. Now I use this brand, but I use the light flavored one. 1 onion finely chopped. 1 bunch of shallots. I'm yet to chop them. 2 garlic cloves chopped. 1.2 kilogram baby spinach. I buy the spinach already chopped in the freezer in the supermarket. 5 of these packets. They're fairly cheap. What do we got there? 2 tablespoons of chopped dill. All right. 300 grams of feta cheese, crumbed. Now I use the brand called Dodoni. It's a very famous Greek feta cheese. I grew up with it and I love it. 200 grams of full fat ricotta cheese. All right, just good old ricotta from the supermarket will do. 3 tablespoons of grated kefalotiri or parmesan. Kefalotiri is very similar to parmesan. All right. 4 eggs. All right. And what have we got there? Half a teaspoon of grated or ground nutmeg. I use ground. 12 sheets or more filo pastry. I tend to use more than 12, but the packets that you buy, like this one, it's got more than enough in it. And 120 grams of salted butter. Now the butter is primarily going to be used to butter the filo pastry when you put it all together. You've got to melt that in the stove. Remove as much moisture as I can out of it. You don't want a moist filling, they will be sloppy. Now put it on in the frying pan like I just did, or gas stove or electric stove frying pan will do. Not very hot. It's the heat's gone down now just because the actual spinach was a bit cold from defrosting. By the way, you need to defrost the spinach overnight, otherwise you're going to be really. Now continue on mixing it over heat. I've just put it up a bit so I can get a bit of heat into it until a fair bit of the moisture is gone out of it. How do you know when it has? You'll be able to see it. The spinach will actually look drier. Now after a few minutes the spinach has dried out enough. While the spinach is drying out on the frying pan, prepare all the other ingredients. Have the shallots chopped, get the egg ready, grate the cheese. Now you have to remove the spinach from the heat and put it somewhere. So using a small saucepan, put the butter, 120 grams that is, on low heat to melt. And it's very important to put it on low heat. Turn on your oven to 180 degrees Celsius. This one is fan forced. And oil lightly a baking tray. This one is 380 by 280 approximately. That's in millimeters, of course. And or using it. Just cover it. Now the ingredients I've got ready. There's the spinach, the cavalatieri cheese chopped up or grated. There's the dill, the eggs, the feta cheese crumb by hand, as fine as you can, ricotta cheese. There's the shallots all chopped up, and there's the onion chopped up. We will now lightly fry the shallots, the onion and the garlic, and then put in the spinach and the dill, half the dill. While it's being fried, mix it thoroughly. Give it a medium heat. Don't worry about the spinach that's left over from before. We're only going to do this for a couple of minutes. So just to infuse the flavors. Add the spinach. And half the dill. There is no need to bring this to any greater heat. We've already dried or partly dried the spinach, so turn up the heat. Right, and just mix it thoroughly. And we're going to put this mixture aside to cool down a bit. Now, to mix the leftover ingredients, I use a large saucepan. I also put the warm mixture of spinach, onion, shallots, etc. into it to cool it down. Now, right now, everything is cooled down to the right temperature, and we put in the rest of the cheeses. That is the cavalatieri or the parmesan, the feta cheese, right? Feta cheese and the ricotta. This ricotta is 250 gram, so we need 200, so there'll be a little bit left over. We got all of our cheeses in the saucepan. I used the whole ricotta, by the way, the whole ricotta. Put in the egg and the nutmeg. Now mix everything thoroughly. After mixing things well, this is what it looks like. I added a little bit of pepper and salt for taste, and it's now ready to put in the baking dish. We are now ready to put things together in a baking dish. I got the melted butter, a mixture of Spanakopita and cheeses, filo pastry. Now we're going to use one filo at a time, and we're going to brush it with the butter. Okay, this is what it looks like after putting 2 pieces of filo in the baking tray. Butter it well, and on the sides in this case is a bit longer than the baking dish, so we just lift it up on the edges. There'll be no need to trim much when we finish. We'll do 10 pieces of filo for the base. Alright, I finished putting the filo on the base. I've staggered it a little bit so I can get some filo on the sides, and I buttered it well. Now it's ready to have the filling put in. Okay, once the mixture is in the baking dish, spread it out nice and even and cover it with the rest of the filo, buttering as you go along. Thank you. Alright, I finished putting the filo on top. The last piece or two I'm not using because it was right next to the tea towel and got soggy, so I'll throw that away. Now mix the leftover dill with the leftover butter and mix it. You will need these before you serve the Spanakopita. I've allowed the Spanakopita to cook until golden brown. This is what it looks outside the oven. Got to let it rest for 10 minutes before we brush it with the leftover butter and dill. After 10 minutes, brush the butter and dill over the Spanakopita. Just lightly brush it. Some people brush the Spanakopita only when they're about to use it. I do it just now. Take a sharp knife and cut through where you scored it to the base. Just gentle. Around the edges, make sure it's not stuck. Okay, I'm going to use a spatula to take one of them off and put them on the plate. And here we are, Greek Spanakopita. Thank you for watching my YouTube channel.